Hello everyone, welcome back to Chirping Away. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if it's not, welcome back. I'm using a different setup, so hopefully my audio this time isn't weird. I don't think it will be, but there's a chance it might be. Anyways, welcome back to today's episode. It's been a hot minute, that's what I say every episode, but that's just how it is. Today I do have something I want to talk about, so I have a main central point I want to talk about, and then I do have some other little things I want to talk about. I did record a whole other episode that I just haven't edited, so I don't know when that'll be up. That might be out after this episode, just because I feel like the topic of this episode is pretty important. So before we get started, we have to talk about player of the episode, and let's think about this for a second. Who's today's player of the episode? Who's cool and someone I want to talk about? I don't know. Okay, well, I guess today's player of the episode will be, I guess it'll be Macklin Celebrini, just because he's in my notes and I'm looking at his name right now, and he's pretty cool, even though I don't really like the Sharks. Yeah, Macklin's pretty cool. Yes, that's cool. Other news not revolving hockey. Lando Norris, driver championship. We are Lando fans. I wore my Lando shirt yesterday in celebration of him winning. So, love that for him. Sorry, I don't really like Max. I would have been fine with Oscar too, because I am a McLaren fan just in general. So, Oscar would have been fun too. I've been to a few games since I recorded an episode last. I've been to 2. I went to the Canes game. The Canes won. Got a puck from Nikolai Ehlers. Love him. And then I went to a Avs game and I got 2 pucks. One from Jack Drury and Sam Malinsky. There's a story that I do not want to tell because thinking about it makes my blood boil. It makes it truly I'm having heart palpitations just thinking about it. So I will not be talking about that. But all we need to know is I got a puck and the Canes won the game, but the Avs lost their game, and it really just, I don't think I was having a good day. So my puck story, that puck situation, it just ruined my mood. So whoever that woman is, you suck. Yeah, a lot of stuff has come out. I wrote down a few things in my notes that I want to talk about, but again, there's a main thing I want to talk about. So going from the bottom, I guess, because the top is where all the important stuff I want to talk about is, the bottom, I talked about, or my notes are talking about captains. So there are a few teams that don't have captains right now. San Jose is one of them, and everyone's like, oh, Macklin Celebrini should be captain, blah, 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 blah. And I think there's, exceptions when there's younger captains. I don't know. I think it's just, I don't think that he should be captain. I feel and I guess Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid were pretty young when they became captain, but I feel that's different. Just because someone's a good player doesn't mean that they'd necessarily be a good captain. There's a difference between being a good player and being a good team leader. And I don't know these guys personally. I don't know Macklin, I don't know Connor Bedard, I don't know these people personally, but I don't know that they already, I don't know. But also, talking about them, it does make me think about Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. I don't know. So I feel they're too young, and I feel now there's such a different, light or, pressure that's put on these players, just with, social media and stuff, and, media was probably bad back then. I fear I was not conscious enough to understand all of that, but I feel there's just different, they're under a different microscope, and it's always, I'm going to talk about this more because my main focus is, hockey culture and how toxic it is, but I don't know, I feel it's just different now than it was back then. So I don't think that Macklin Celebrini should be captain. It should be maybe someone a bit older. I don't know, maybe I mean, people are saying Tyler Toffoli. I think that could be good. I would have said Tomas Hertl, but he's not there anymore. So I I don't know who else is on that team. Maybe like a Mario Ferraro situation could be cool. I don't know. I feel like, yeah. Maybe, I was gonna say maybe one of the alternates, but Macklin's also an alternate, so I don't know how that would work, but I just don't think they're good for captaincy. I've been talking about this for 2 minutes and I feel like I've said a lot of nothing. Anyways, next topic. Speaking of Macklin Celebrini, there was the Seattle situation where those girls went to games with those really awful signs. And as someone who makes signs for every game she goes to, I honestly don't know how those were let in the building. Every game I go to, they check my sign. And every game I go to, my signs are respectful. But I genuinely don't know how those signs were let in. And also, like, not even 2 years ago, it might have been like 2.5, 3 years ago, there was that whole Alexander Wenberg situation where that author was like so disrespectful to him and his family, like so bad that was probably what made him want to move teams. So it was just bad, and that's fully sexual harassment. That is disgusting, and I don't know, I feel like that kind of like they're fans, that's okay, but I feel like that just gives like girls a bad rep when it comes to sports, because we're already so like scrutinized, because everyone's always like, oh, girls are only into hockey because the guys are attractive. Like, that doesn't help our image, I guess. So I feel like that just, I don't know, I feel like it made me uncomfortable. So, like, they're literally just doing their jobs, and you're like there holding up signs talking about like how you like want to do something sexual with them. That's weird. So didn't like that. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, or like the main thing I really want to talk about, is like how toxic hockey culture is. This is I'm definitely not the first person to talk about this, and I'm definitely not like the person with the biggest words. That, I don't know, I'm not like I'm not gonna use like big words, and I might not have all my thoughts together, but I do have something to say, and I do think what I have to say, I don't know if I'm contributing to the conversation, but I just want to put my 2 cents in, and then I'll start talking about it. But the main thing that everyone has been talking about, because it's stupid, Carter Hart signed in Vegas, and Vegas is dumb. So that's the main thing. As I'm filming this, December 8th, he is out with an injury. So whoever hired an Etsy witch and manifested this, I bow down to you, because you did the Lord's work with that one. But I just think it's so gross that these men still have opportunities to play in this league, and everyone talks about how false accusations ruin a man's life, but this man is still playing, and he had like very real accusations with proof and evidence, and he's playing with someone who spoke against him and solidified that this woman had been assaulted, and he somehow still has a job. So I don't understand that, and I'm still very confused why that man has a job. Yeah, I don't like him, and I've rooted for Vegas's downfall since they did Marc-Andre Fleury wrong. Like, and even before that, because I don't like them, but more so when they did Marc-Andre Fleury wrong, and it didn't tell him that he was being traded, and he had to find out through social media. I did not like that, and I thought that was dirty and gross. But ever since then, I've hated them, and yeah, they suck, and everyone on that team is ugly. So how about that? Also, everyone's talking about, oh, he's like this great goalie and blah, 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 blah. I wrote in my notes, so I'm going to read this verbatim. I said, if this trial hadn't happened and Carter Hart hadn't done anything wrong, and no one had assaulted anyone, or this situation hadn't happened and this woman was totally not traumatized and none of this had ever happened to her, you wouldn't be saying this about him. You'd be dogging on him because he was a bad goalie. Hey guys, spoiler alert, Carter Hart was not a good goalie. The Flyers, okay, they weren't the best, but he wasn't like the glue that was holding them together. Like, he was genuinely not a good goalie, and you're acting like he was God's gift to the Flyers, when that's an insult to, like, them. You're only saying this now because you hate women and think they're all liars. So that's what I have to say. Carter Hart was not a good goalie. Michael McLeod was not a good player. Cal Foote was not a good player, and I don't remember who else was in the situation because everyone else was so irrelevant. So Genuinely, I can't remember who else was involved because I don't think about them ever because they don't exist in my world and they're disgusting. So I genuinely don't think about them ever. All 5 players that were involved in this trial and this disgusting thing that happened, they all sucked. Everyone is acting like they were God's gift to hockey. They weren't even the top line in their team. Like, they were not starting first line. They were starting like third line. They were third liners, let's be for real. Probably backup. So, yeah. These guys were not amazing players. They weren't good at the sport. They sucked. And that's what I have to say about that. And it truly, I think, I would never go see Vegas in person, but if they came to the city that I live in, I would genuinely go to the arena and hold up a sign and dog on them the entire time. I would be rooting for the Sharks, which is something I don't ever do. But I would genuinely be rooting for the Sharks because my hatred for everyone hates Vegas, okay? Like, I would hold up a sign that says you suck. I'm not kidding. And I heard that there were people there who went to the game in Chicago where Carter Hart, like, his first game was back, and they had signs, but they were confiscated at the door, which, you know what? That's stupid. So, then, like, it's kind of ironic that the first team he played against was Chicago, because, I mean, Chicago also sucks. But, like, I was rooting for Chicago more than I was rooting for Vegas, I'll say that. So, I think it's gross. I think this whole situation is so gross, and I honestly hope that EM gets, like, I hope she's living her life, she's thriving, she's, like, getting help, she has a good support system. I genuinely hope all of this for her because she deserves everything good, and every single one of these guys deserves everything bad, even though I just found out one of the players signed a contract with the Chicago Wolves, the Canes AHL team, after the Canes just went through this whole PR nightmare when we all thought they were gonna sign what's his name, whatever the heck it was. So, yeah, so much for that. That was stupid too. I hate this situation so much. I hate it. I hate them, everyone. I hate everyone. I'm pretty sure I just recorded an entire clip and it didn't save. So, I'm gonna talk about the 3 topics I just talked about all over again. The first thing I talked about, literally I'm talking about the same thing, 3 things I just talked about. The first thing I talked about was the Kachuk brothers. Couldn't think of 2 people less I want to hear talk more, gonna be honest. The Kachuk brothers, Matthew and Brady Kachuk, decided to start a podcast because they both aren't playing because they're both injured. So, since we can't see them on the ice, we're gonna see them off the ice more than we already want to. Oh my gosh. Shoot me. I hate them. They were just talking a whole lot of crap about, I don't know if this was, like, women in general, or just, like, they were like, oh, I don't want to, like, it's weird when they're referred to by their nicknames. Yes, I'm gonna refer to you by your government name. Like, I'm gonna call William Nylander by all 6 of his names. You're cuckoo for Cocoa Pebbles. I'm not doing that. 6 names. I think he has 6. There's, like, he has 6. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's stupid. And, like, you both look like thumbs. I physically can't. Like, no. That's just stupid. Like, I don't even, they're not, like, in my orbit, so I don't even think about them. I only think about them when they injure one of my guys, and then I'm like, I will go to war for them. Against you. So, yes, I hate them. The next thing I want to talk about, this is, like, it was kind of, I guess it kind of, like, I found out about this through Twitter, and I want to talk about, like, Twitter culture and how toxic it is, because it's literally the pit of hell. Like, Twitter is awful. Everyone awful in your life that you know is on Twitter, and they are talking shit. Who would have thought? I scroll through Twitter, I click on a post, I read the tweet, and then there are so many, like, retweets about literally the most awful people just saying the weirdest things and attaching the grossest, like, most boomer gifs I've ever seen in my life. Like, those words are not in my vocabulary. Like, I don't call anyone a boomer because I'm not 12. But I mean, that is like what their generation is called, so I mean, I guess so, but it's literally the most awful people you know on Twitter talking like the most garbage I've ever seen in my life. And I physically, like, Twitter's the worst place ever. I don't know how much more I can talk about this because it genuinely makes me so frustrated. Like, Twitter and just everyone on Twitter is so, well, not everyone, but like there's so many awful people on Twitter because I think with the way things are in the world right now, it just makes people so comfortable to like be mean to people. And I think Twitter, I don't know, everyone's on there, so you can just like say whatever you want. You shouldn't do that because it's quite easy to find out where people are, but I just saw a video of this woman driving 3 hours to confront someone who sent her a hate comment. Like, this is way too easy. We shouldn't do this. But I'll see a post of someone and they're talking about something, like, I'll see someone talking about hockey, and then the retweets are like these ugly men, like, calling them the R slur or something. Like, I actually think I'm quite qualified to talk about this sport, probably more than you, because I see players as people and not as like pawns in a game. Yeah, and they see players as like just objects. Like, they don't see them as people. So they think that they can just say whatever they want, like, oh, he sucked tonight, not thinking that that guy's gonna see what he said. Like, Twitter, you can like search up this person's name and everything that says that keyword will show up. So I just think it's awful. Like, people are too comfortable on the internet, and I don't think that's right, because literally you can search up anything and you can search up one word and everything saying that will pop up, and a lot of it is hate. Especially, I don't know, like, when people lose. It sucks. Speaking of losing, I just thought of this. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was at a bar. Say that 3 times fast. Holy crap. He was at a bar after the loss, and everyone was, like, talking about, I don't know, like, they were, like, dogging on him for being at a bar after, like, the Sabres lost. God forbid a man has a life outside of his job. Like, I also saw that on Twitter. Everyone was being so mean. He's literally, first of all, it's a team sport. Although if I were a goalie, I would take it very hard. But like, he's been in this game for so long that it is just a game. So, but it's literally a team sport. He did his job. Why isn't he allowed to like go out and have fun? Like, why isn't he allowed to have a life outside of his job? I have a life outside of my job. The person, whoever's watching this, you probably have a life outside your job. Like, he's allowed to be his own person outside of being Buffalo Sabres goaltender, you know? Like, people on Twitter were like massacring him for having like a drink and having some fun. You're stupid. I hate Twitter. Oh my god. This is like, truly, my brain is like that. Ugh. Twitter's awful. Don't get Twitter. It's really like a bad car crash. Like, you're watching and you can't look away, and it's awful. I hate it. I truly hate Twitter. God. Alright, the last thing I want to talk about, and it does kind of come back to hockey culture because it is toxic, is heated rivalries. If you don't know what it is, it's a series based on a book about two hockey players. One of them was first, second draft pick, whatever. They got drafted together, and like, they're both really good, and then they fall in love. So, but I think I feel like it's already been said. I don't want to talk about Sean Avery because I don't trust a man with abuse allegations, and I don't want to talk about him because I think he's awful. I also don't think he should be writing a book. Why is he writing books? Why is he taking away from women? Why are you here? Why is there a man here? Whatever. But I don't want to talk about him. But I think this could help like a lot of, because there's like statistics that show that there's no possible way that there's no gay players in the league. And I don't think we should out people because outing people is gross. Everyone should come out when they want to and they're comfortable to. But I think this could help a lot of people who feel that they're like, they can't be themselves. Like, I can't speak on that, but that has to be so suffocating, and to not feel comfortable being yourself, I can't even imagine. And I truly I really hope that this helps people, because everyone deserves to be who they are and whoever they want to be. But with that being said, there is also a very toxic side to hockey. It's it's literally every phobic in the book. Like, them not having pride nights is evident of that. Like, them not making it mandatory is very evident of that. Like, they don't care, and they are every phobic in the book. But I do think there are teams making strides to try to be more inclusive, and I think that's important. But I don't know. I think it's awful that this is that it's so toxic and it's so awful. I hate this. Oh my gosh. Okay. But yeah, hopefully, I really hope this helps people, because yeah. Yeah. Okay, I literally stopped recording because I was done, but then I saw a TikTok, and then it like made me realize I didn't really talk about what I wanted to talk about. Or like, I didn't cover the important part of it. But the TikTok was talking about how like a lot of hockey problems start in like youth, like the youth teams, all of that. And I think that's so true, because these kids are seeing these like professional athletes, and they want to reach that goal. So they start in like the minor leagues, or not even the minor leagues, like little league teams, but there's so much toxic culture already in there, like the hazing. Like, hazing should be considered a crime. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, it should be like considered an offense where you go to jail, because some people die from hazing. Like, it's not an uncommon thing for people to die from being hazed. So I think that should be considered a crime. And there's this label put on it where it's like, oh, this is what's supposed to happen. Like, you want to play, you here, in order to be like in with us, you have to do this thing. And if you don't do it, then you're going to be ostracized. And like, when you're a kid, you don't want that to happen. So that's such a toxic thing to put on a kid. So that's also what I wanted to add. And even more, I kept watching the video. So even more so, when you're young, you move away from your home to another town to play the sport, and you're a teenager. And again, to like back to like hazing and stuff, you just want to fit in. That's all you ever want to do. You don't want to like, when you're new, you don't want to like ruffle any feathers. You don't want to cause tension. You don't want to like break the rules. So you're gonna do what you have to do to fit in, to make the team, to be this perfect player. And sometimes it does include like doing really bad things, like, and that is the root of the problem. And I think that's what players should just be taught, like, be a good person. Like, you don't have to like do this awful thing in order to fit in. Like, you just play the sport, and like, that should be it. You shouldn't have to like do drugs or something to fit in. Like, this isn't a super special club. It's a recreational activity. And yeah, sometimes people do it for jobs. Like, that's your job, but that shouldn't be the case in this scenario, or in most scenarios. Alright, this episode is kind of short, and I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but I do have another episode coming out because I have to edit the other episode, so that episode will be out soon. But this episode is kind of short. I just had a few things I wanted to talk about that have been on my mind, just because I feel like now, more than probably ever, this league is so toxic. Like, I have fun watching the sport. I love hockey, but there's such a downside to watching it. Like, I feel like it doesn't love me back. Not that I expect it to love me back, but like, it doesn't feel like there's the same mutual respect, almost, if that makes sense. I really love hockey. It's a passion. I love watching it. I want to work in it, whatever. But it just feels like they don't care. Like, this is the only league without like rules for like rules in the rule book, like, about domestic abuse. Like, if someone in the league were to abuse their partner, I'm pretty sure there's no repercussions. Like, Milan Lucic is still in the league. I mean, Carter Hart's in the league, so that says a lot about this league and where they stand with these rules and how they view women. They don't. So that's how I feel about this situation. I think it's suffocating. I think it's awful sometimes to watch this sport, and I just feel very dejected watching a lot of the time, just because I feel like it's not the same. But with that being said, that is all I have to say on this topic. Let's start something new, everyone. Let's start doing affirmations. I have 2 affirmations that I would like to talk about, or 2 affirmations that I have for us today. The first one, my teams will win. The second affirmation, the Knights will lose. And those are my affirmations. With that being said, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Follow Tripping Away on social media at Tripping Away Pod. I have a TikTok and an Instagram, so go watch us on there. Go follow, comment, or whatever. I don't know. Tell your friends. And I love you. See you next time. Bye-bye.